Am I challenging myself enough? There comes a time, often later in life, when one looks back across the stretch of years and wonders, not simply about what was achieved, but about what was pursued. Did I take risks that stretched my soul? Did I push beyond the safety of my comfort to embrace the unknown? Did I challenge myself enough? You see, the soul, much like the body and mind, thrives on exertion. Just as muscles grow through resistance and bones are strengthened by movement, the spirit is sharpened and matured through challenge. Proverbs 27:17 reminds us, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." The implication is clear. Friction, effort, even discomfort are necessary for growth. Without challenge, we risk stagnation. And stagnation, my friend, is a quiet and dangerous erosion of potential. In my youth, I thought that ease was the aim. A smooth road, uncluttered by obstacles, seemed to me the mark of blessing. But the years taught me otherwise. The valleys and steep climbs, the difficult conversations, the failures, the hard-won victories, these shaped me far more than any smooth sail across still waters. Now, I do not say this lightly. Life's burdens can weigh heavily, and in the pursuit of challenge, one must take care to distinguish between reckless ambition and holy striving. The Apostle Paul speaks of pressing on toward the goal. Philippians 3:14, not in haste or desperation, but with purpose and resolve. The challenges we embrace should be aligned with our calling, our values, and our service to others. Psychology confirms what Scripture has long affirmed. Human beings are wired for growth through challenge. The theory of flow, proposed by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, suggests that we experience our deepest fulfillment not in idleness, but in activities that stretch our abilities. Whether it's learning a new skill, mentoring others, or navigating a difficult season with grace, these moments of stretch draw out something noble within us. The danger, however, lies in comfort. Comfort is seductive. It lulls us into routines that feel safe, predictable, and unthreatening. There is no shame in rest or in appreciating life's simple pleasures. But when comfort becomes the ceiling of our aspiration, we begin to decline in ways that are not always visible to the eye. Even the human brain reflects this truth. Neuroscience shows that when we continually learn and challenge ourselves, we build new neural pathways, enhancing cognitive resilience and slowing the decline associated with aging. It is no coincidence that the scriptures often link wisdom with action. Be doers of the word, James exhorts, and not hearers only, James 1:22. Knowledge without application withers. But when we challenge ourselves to live out what we learn, we grow deeper roots. At long years of age, I still challenge myself, though not in the same ways I did at 30 or 40. My legs may not take me up mountains anymore, but my spirit still climbs. I challenge myself to remain curious, to learn from the young, to stay engaged with the changes in the world. I challenge myself to forgive more quickly, to listen more deeply, and to speak truth even when it trembles on the edge of my lips. Challenge, you see, is not always loud or visible. Sometimes it's quiet and internal. The discipline to pray when distracted, the courage to admit a fault, the strength to start over. Sometimes the greatest challenge is to hope again after disappointment, or to believe in redemption when the world says it's too late. I think of Moses, called to lead at 80. I think of Caleb, who at 85 said, "Give me this mountain." Joshua 14:12. They were not finished. They were not content to sit and reminisce. They pressed on because they knew their God was still working in them. Now, let us not confuse challenge with busyness. It's possible to fill one's days with activity and yet never grow. Growth requires intentionality. What area of your life has gone untended? What dream lies dormant, waiting not for the perfect moment, but for your commitment to step forward in faith. If you feel no fear, no resistance, it may be because you are not stepping far enough outside your circle of familiarity. Growth, by its very nature, is uncomfortable, but discomfort is not our enemy. Apathy is. Revelation 3:16 warns of being lukewarm, neither hot nor cold. The soul shrinks when it no longer risks. I recall a season in my 60s when I felt myself drifting. Successful on the outside, yet uninspired within. It took a quiet walk, a late-night prayer, and a friend's gentle rebuke to awaken me. I realized I had stopped reaching. I had become a caretaker of my own comfort, rather than a steward of my calling. So I enrolled in a course, joined a mentoring group, and committed to serving a local prison ministry. It wasn't easy, but it reignited a spark I had forgotten was there. The beauty of God's grace is that it meets us where we are, but refuses to leave us there. It invites us higher, deeper, farther. Romans 12:2 calls us to transformation through the renewing of our minds. That renewal is an ongoing process, fueled by curiosity, challenge, and commitment. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you did something for the first time? When did you last feel the flutter of uncertainty, the stretch of trying something that might not go as planned? And if it didn't go well, did you learn? Did you persevere? Did you try again? Too often, we fear failure more than stagnation, but Scripture reminds us that the righteous fall 7 times and rise again. Proverbs 24:16. The fall is not the end. It is often the beginning of something richer. It humbles us. It sharpens us. It opens the door to empathy, compassion, and wisdom. In human health, we see the power of resilience. The body, when gently stressed, becomes stronger. Muscles rebuild. The heart adapts. The immune system strengthens. So it is with the soul. Trials and tests, when met with faith, produce perseverance. James 1:3, and perseverance leads to maturity. Even the world of education recognizes the power of what they call the growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. This mindset stands in contrast to the fixed mindset, which believes that talents are static. Scripture, in its own way, supports the growth mindset. To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given. Matthew 25:29. But let us remember, challenging oneself is not about comparison. It's not about doing more than others or being the best. It's about being faithful with what has been entrusted to you. The parable of the talents teaches us that the servant who invested wisely, whether with 5 or 2 talents, received the same commendation. Well done, good and faithful servant. So what are you doing with what you've been given? Are you nurturing your gifts, stretching your abilities, stepping into unfamiliar territory, trusting that the one who calls you is faithful? At this stage in my life, I've learned that challenge is not a burden. It is a blessing. It is the sacred invitation to become more fully who God created us to be. It is the divine pressure that refines our character, stretches our faith, and deepens our love. So I ask you, not as one who has mastered this path, but as a fellow traveler, are you challenging yourself enough? Not just for your own growth, but so that others might be blessed through you. The world needs what only you can give, but it will not come forth without effort, without risk, without the willingness to be stretched. God has placed within you seeds of purpose, potential, and power. But seeds do not flourish in ease. They grow when planted, watered, and pressed by the soil. Trust the process. Embrace the stretch. Step forward even if your knees tremble. For it is in the challenge that we meet the most profound grace, and it is in the reaching that we find our true strength.